Okay, hi everyone, welcome back to this video series on the Comptia Security Plus course. Now, note that there is a space after the equal sign which is necessary for the command to work properly. Figure 4.5 shows the GUI representation of the Windows firewall service. You can see in the figure that the service is disabled and stopped. This is a good place to find out the name of a service if you are not sure, or you could use the SC query command in Linux. You can start, stop and restart services in a variety of ways. Because there are many variants of Linux, how you perform these actions varies in different GUIs that are available. So in this book I usually stick with the command line, which is generally the same across the board. You will probably want to display a list of services and their status in the command line first. For example, in Ubuntu you can do this by typing the following: service status all for a list of upstart jobs with their status. Use the following syntax: initctl list. Services can be stopped in the Linux command line in a few ways by typing the following syntax: etc init.d service stop, where service is the service name. For example, if you are running an Apache web server, you would type the following: etc init.d apache2 stop. Services can also be started and restarted by replacing stop with start or restart by typing the following syntax in select versions: service stop. Some services require a different set of syntax. For example, telnet can be deactivated in Red Hat by typing chkconfig telnet off. Check the man pages within the command line or online for your particular version of Linux to obtain exact syntax and any previous commands that need to be issued, or use a general Linux online man page. For example, http linux.die.net man1 telnet. In Mac OS X services can be stopped in the command line by using the following syntax: sudo server admin service. However, this may not work on Mac OS or OS X client. For example, in 10.9 Mavericks, you would simply quit processes either by using activity monitor or by using the kill command in the terminal. Windows updates and patches. To be considered secure, operatings should have support for multi-level security and be able to meet government requirements. An operating system that meets these criteria is known as a trusted operating system, TOS. Examples of certified trusted operating systems include Windows 7, OS X 10.6 free BSD with the trusted BSD extensions, and Red Hat Enterprise Server. To be considered a TOS, the manufacturer of the system must have strong policies concerning updates and patching. Even without being a TOS, operating systems should be updated regularly. For example, Microsoft recognizes the deficiencies in an OS and possible exploits that occur and releases patches to increase OS performance and protect the system. Before updating, the first thing to do is find out the version number, build number and patch level. For example, in Windows, you can find out this information by open the system admin information tool, open the run prompt and type msinfo32.exe. It will be listed directly in the system summary. You could also use the winver command. In addition, you can use the system info command in the command prompt, a great information gatherer, or simply the ver command. Then you should check your organization's policies to see what level a system should be updated to. You should also test updates and patches on systems located on a clean dedicated testing network before going live with an update. Windows uses the Windows Update program to manage updates to the system. Versions before Windows 10 include this feature in the control panel. It can also be accessed by typing wuapp.exe in the run prompt. In Windows 10 it is located in the settings section, or can be opened by typing ms settings Windows Update in the run prompt. Updates are divided into different categories. Security update, a broadly released fix for a product specific security related vulnerability. Security vulnerabilities are rated based on their severity, which is indicated in the Microsoft Security Bulletin as critical, important, moderate or low. Critical update, a broadly released fix for a specific problem addressing a critical non-security related bug. Security pack, a tested cumulative set of hotfixes, security updates, critical updates and updates, as well as additional fixes for problems found internally since the release of the product. Service packs might also contain a limited number of customer requested design changes or features. Note that Windows 7 and Windows Server 2008 R2 are the last of the Microsoft operating systems to use service packs. If possible, the testing of service packs should be done offline with physical media. Disconnect the computer from the network by disabling the network adapter before initiating the SP upgrade. Windows Update, recommended update to fix a non-critical problem certain users might encounter, also adds features and updates to features bundled into Windows. Driver update, updated device driver for installed hardware. It's important to verify that any drivers installed will be compatible with a system. A security administrator should be aware of the potential to modify drivers through the use of the driver shimming, the adding of a small library that intercepts API calls, and driver refactoring. The restructuring of driver code. By default, shims are not supposed to be used to resolve compatibility issues with device drivers, but it's impossible to foresee the types of malicious code that may present itself in the future. So security administrators should be careful when updating drivers by making sure that the drivers are signed properly and first testing them on a closed system. There are various options for the installation of Windows Update, including automatic install, defer updates to a future date, download with option to install, manual check for updates, and never check for updates. Types available to you will differ depending on the version of Windows. Automatic install is usually frowned upon by business, especially in the enterprise. Generally, you as the administrator want to specify what is updated, when it is updated, and to which computers it is updated. This eliminates problems such as patch level mismatch and network usage issues. In some cases, your organization might opt to turn off Windows Update altogether depending on your version of Windows. This may or may not be further that the Windows Update service be stopped and disabled, thereby disabling update. This can be done in the services console, Windows run services.msc, or from the control panel with one of the methods discussed earlier in this chapter. The service name for Windows Update is WUAUSERV. So I just want to move this down here. Bit of housekeeping. Patches and hotfixes. The best place to obtain patches and hotfixes is from the manufacturer's website. The terms patches and hotfixes are often used interchangeably. Windows updates are made up of hotfixes. Originally, a hotfix was designed as a single problem fixing patch to an individual OS or application installed live while the system was up and running without needing a reboot. However, This term has changed over time and varies from vendor to vendor. Vendors may even use both terms to describe the same thing. For example, if you run the system info command in the command prompt of a Windows computer, you see a list of hotfixes similar to figure 4.6. This can be identified with the letters K, B, followed by 7 numbers. Hotfixes can be single patches or individual applications or might affect the entire system. On the other side of the spectrum, a gaming company might define hotfixes as a hot change to the server with no downtime and no client download is necessary. The organization releases these if they are critical instead of waiting for a full patch version. The gaming world commonly uses the terms patch version, point release, or maintenance release to describe a group of file updates to a particular gaming version. For example, a game might start at version 1 and a later release as update known as 1.17. The 0.17 is a point release. This could be any number depending on the amount of code rewrites later. The game might release 1.32, in which .32 is the point release, again otherwise referred to as patch version. This is common with other programs as well. For example, aforementioned Camtasia program that is running on your computer, shown is figure 4.1, is version 9.0.4. The second .4 represents very small changes to the program, whereas a patch version called 9.1 would be a large change, and 10.0 would be a completely new version of the software. The concept also applies to blogging applications and forums, otherwise known as bulletin boards. As new threats are discovered, and they are extremely common in the blogging world, new patch versions are released. They should be downloaded by the administrator, tested and installed without delay. Admins should keep in touch with their software manufacturers either through phone or email, or by frequenting their web pages. This keeps the admin in the know when it comes to the latest updates. All this applies to the server and client operating systems. Server add-ons such as Microsoft Exchange or SQL Server, Office programs, web browser, and a plethora of third-party programs that an organization might use. Your job just got a bit easier. Of course, we are usually concerned with updating games in the working world. They should be removed from a computer if they are found, unless perhaps you work for a gaming company. But multimedia software such as Camtasia is prevalent in some companies, and web-based software such as bulletin board systems are also common and susceptible to attack. Patches generally carry the connotation of a small fix in the mind of the user or system administrator, so larger patches are often referred to as software updates, service packs, or something similar. However, if you were asked to fix a single security issue on a computer, a patch would be a solution you would want. For example, there were various Trojans that attacked older operating systems or Microsoft Office for Mac. To counter these, Microsoft released a specific patch for those versions of Office for Mac that disallows remote access by the Trojans. Before installing an individual patch, you should determine if it is perhaps was already installed as part of a group update. For example, you might read that a particular version of Mac OS or OS X had a patch release for iTunes. For being an enthusiastic iTunes user, you might consider installing the patch, but you should first find out the version of the OS you are running. It might already include the patch. To find this information, simply click the Apple menu and then click About This Mac. Remember, all systems need to be patched at some point. It doesn't matter if they are Windows, Mac, Linux, US, Android, iOS, hardware, appliances, kiosks, automotive, computers. Need I go on? Unfortunately, sometimes patches are designed poorly, and all they might fix one problem, they could possibly create another, which is a form of software regression, because you never know exactly what a patch to a system might do and how it might react or interact with other systems. It is wise to incorporate patch management. So I'm going to leave it here today for this video. If you like listening, please consider like, sharing and subscribing. Thank you.